So finally that moment has arrived when you're finally taking your baby public. How are you feeling about it?
No, it was a dream in 2016. So for it to happen 9 years later, it's a really gratifying moment.
But you know, it's interesting to me, you chose cement and paints. Both of these sectors are extremely aggressive, very competitive and have well-entrenched players. So you didn't want to take the easy route.
In every meeting that I would be in, there would be almost like a unsaid rule that, you must listen to Parth because he's the owner's son. But I felt that if I can turn around a loss-making company, then it'll give me a lot of confidence that, I have been able to do something. And it'll also show the wider organization internally that, okay, this guy has come, he's taken over something that we were not able to turn around. He's turned it around with his team.
How do you turn around a business and make it profitable?
I think the first question that you need to ask yourself is, what is your reason to exist?
That's a very philosophical question.
Right? If you think about just turning around your business and you think about, oh, I need to cut my costs, I need to cut my salaries, I need to do this, I need to do that, and my business will become profitable, that's like a never-ending spiral of going down.
So you're saying first fix the market that you're in terms of try to focus on penetration of the market rather than correcting what's going wrong in your own business.
I mean, figure out why you have a right to win.
So in a market which has such well-entrenched and aggressive players, what is the strategy? What's the right to win?
So in cement, our synergy and our basic right to win is the fact that the waste products that come out of the steel making process, the waste products that come out of the thermal power making process are our raw material. So that gives us a huge leg up over our competition.
It's hard to compete with these giants without any major inorganic acquisition.
No, I don't think so.
Hey guys, I'm happy to be a part of Zerodha's media network. Together, Zerodha and I plan to bring to you simple yet effective and impactful news and views from the best minds in the financial world. Hey guys, on Money Mindset this week, we feature someone who pretty much signifies New India. Parth Jindal is the Managing Director of JSW Cement and JSW Paints, but he's not just the heir to one of India's most powerful industrial empires. He's actually the architect of the next chapter and the young leader of the $20 billion JSW Group, a leader in itself in steel, energy and infrastructure. Now, Parth took charge of JSW Cement, and the interesting bit is JSW Cement at the time was a struggling arm and he turned it into a growth engine. He launched JSW Paints, challenging industry giants with bold innovation. And today he's also expanding into electric vehicles, defense and sports. But the feather in his cap, according to me, is the JSW Cement IPO, which is finally here. As I said, he took over a loss-making company, turned it profitable, and now many years later, he's taking it public. JSW Cement is one of the top 10 cement manufacturing companies in India in a space which is highly aggressive and very competitive. And Parth is here with me today. Parth, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks, Sonia.
So finally, that moment has arrived when you're finally taking your baby public. How are you feeling about it?
No, it was a dream in 2016 when I came back from business school. My father and I sat down and he asked me, what do you want to do now? And I told him that, I would love to take over some of the struggling businesses of the group, and cement was right up there. It was a loss-making company. And at the time, whenever I spoke to any of my friends, they asked me, what are you doing in cement? Like, why can't you do something more exciting or better? And I said, I think it would be my dream to turn this company around and take it public. And at that time, it was very far away. So for it to happen 9 years later and for the day to actually finally arrive, it's a really gratifying moment. And it just shows that, there's so much potential in India and there's so much power in the brand of JSW that we can, grow in any business. And I'm just delighted that my first company, which I started, which was, I remember the first day I took over, it was a loss-making business and it had a turnover of less than 500 crores. And now we're taking it public. So it feels great, and the journey is long now, and now we have to do many things. But this is a great, moment in my career, and a stepping stone which we had put in paper that, one day JSW Cement should go public. And that's happening.
And finally, it's happening.
Finally, it's happening. Yeah.
But it's interesting to me how you could have just jumped on a fast moving train like JSW Steel, Infra, Energy, whatever, right? But you chose cement and paints. Both of these sectors are extremely aggressive, very competitive, and have well entrenched players. So you didn't want to take the easy route.
No, I think what was happening for me was, before I went to business school, I was in the business for about a year, and because I spent a year after undergrad in Japan working for JFE Steel, and then I came back to India and I was in the group for a year. And at that time, I was working in JSW Steel when I was here, and I was part of the strategy department. And in every meeting that I would be in, there would be like almost like a unsaid rule that you must listen to Parth because he's the owner's son. And it wasn't like I wasn't able to win over the team or win over the professionals because of my logic. It was more because of my name. And I felt that if I continue down that vein and continue down that route, then that'll always be the case. And to take a business that is doing extremely well and to make it do a little better is okay. But I felt that if I can turn around a loss-making company and truly win my chops, as they say, or build my own credibility internally, then it'll give me a lot of confidence that I have been able to do something. And it'll also show the wider organization internally that, okay, this guy has come, he's taken over something that we were not able to turn around. He's turned it around with his team, and he's built his own credibility. And today, when cement is doing well and turned around, or our entry into paints, when I get roped in by my dad for a energy meeting or a steel meeting, I see that difference. I feel that difference, that people are actually listening because of something that I have achieved, rather than because of who I am or because I'm Mr. Sarjan Jindal's son. So that was the real intent in my head, and that was what got me really excited. And then when I discussed it with my dad, he said, yeah, that's exactly what you should do. And I'm really happy that you're taking this path. And anyway, these businesses are there. I'm young. I'm not going anywhere. So you're if you can do something in a new business, then that's great. And then that'll be the right way for you to get ready for bigger things, if at all.
Having a $20 billion legacy to take forward, although it seems like a very, very extremely privileged place, and it is, of course, but they're also really large shoes to fill, right? Does that put a little bit of pressure on you sometimes?
I have thought about this a lot, because growing up also, like, whether it was my my family, my mom or my dad, or and anybody, we grew up in an environment seeing my grandfather build everything, and then my dad and my chachas and tau taking it forward. And I always we're three cousins, three of us in the third generation, Abhyuday, Venkatesh and myself. And we always discussed amongst ourselves that, what are we going to do? Are we the right people to take it forward? And I actually personally feel that, I may not be the right person to take forward some of the legacy companies. I may not be the best qualified to do that. I may not have the passion. I may not have the same sort of zeal that, for example, my father has for the steel business. But maybe the right way forward is to professionalize the group, and for us to be shareholders. We will remain the largest shareholder. So what I need to do in order to best understand the business, what I need to do to best represent the family, that's something that I felt I could do and I can understand. But yeah, in terms of pressure, of course, there's a lot of comparison. I stay with my parents. Anushri and I stay with my parents. So like, every day my dad will say something that you're not growing fast enough, you're not aggressive enough, you need to do more. But at the same time, I think it's an incredible platform that both my parents have given me. Which 26-year-old at the time would be given a business to run without any questions asked? He still never asks me anything about the businesses I run. He says, I'm always there for you if you need anything, but never interferes, never calls my team for a review, nothing. He says, listen, you running it, you need anything, I'm there. And I think that's the right way, because that's made me learn through my own mistakes. And yeah, but I don't see, I mean, I don't feel any sort of pressure that I have to take over what he has built.
You're carving your own identity in a way through some of these other companies
Yes.
like cement and paints. It's interesting. And of course, we're going to talk about cement in great detail because that's what we're here for. But my show is called The Money Mindset. And I want to understand, what is the mindset? What should the mindset be of business owners who were perhaps in a situation like yours, where you have this business which is not doing well, which is down in the dumps, so to speak, but you actually turn it around in a big way, right? So for someone who's watching and who has perhaps been in that situation where their businesses have not done well, how do you turn around a business and make it profitable? If you had to give us 3 or 4 lessons.
Yeah, I think the first question that you need to ask yourself is, what is your reason to exist? And
That's a very philosophical question.
right, like why does the world need another cement company, or why does the world need another paint company?
Correct.
And then you need to, I mean, the way I looked at it is, if you look at the key actors in this whole industry, one is obviously your factory. Is your factory good enough? Does your factory need any modernization to get your costs down? Second is your entire consuming set, whether it's your customers, so you have your retail customers, or you have your B2B customers, and then you have your influencers in between, which are your masons, your contractors, and your dealers. These are the main people. So for each one, why should they join me? Why should they sell my product versus the existing product set that's available in the market? If you can figure out your right to win in each of these categories, if you can figure out why a dealer should stock you, so how do you get the dealer's return on investment to be higher with your product than with the competition's product? The same for the contractor or the mason. So if the shuttering takes 7 days to come off for a competitor's brand, can you develop a product through innovation, through R&D, where in 5 days the shuttering can come off, so that their working capital cycle improves and they make more money? So then they will start using your product. And then third, for the consumer, which is the most uphill and difficult task, because that's a factor of how much power you have and how much money you have to spend on the brand. But if you figure out the dealer part and you figure out the influencer part, then they will be your biggest benefactors. They will be your biggest advertisers to the end consumer. So when an end consumer comes to the shop to buy cement, and there's the big boys there, and then there's you, they will push you because they are making a better return on investment by selling your product. So once we were able to crack this, we not only were able to attract more dealers into the fold of JSW Cement, not only were able to then do a loyalty program for all our influencers, and then it became like a self-fulfilling thing that, they were making more, so they kept pushing us. We kept getting pushed, so our market share kept growing. And then suddenly, before you know it, your company's turned around. If you think about just turning around your business and you think about, oh, I need to cut my costs, I need to cut my salaries, I need to do this, I need to do that, and my business will become profitable, that's like a never-ending spiral of going downhill. If you think of it from the lens of, I need to create something that the country needs, or the district needs, or the town
or the consumer needs,
or the consumer needs, then it'll take a little time, but for sure you will start seeing.
So you're saying
businesses
focus outward rather than focusing inward. You first fix the market that you're in terms of try to focus on penetration of the market rather than correcting what's going wrong in your own business.
I mean, figure out why you have a right to win. What is your differentiation? Like, for example, in paint, what is different about JSW Paint than Asian Paints or Berger or Nerolac or Dulux? What is different? And why did we enter in 2019? And how did we gain share? Now, we didn't do it the way that, for example, Birla Opus is doing it, which is like a big bang launch, big bang advertising campaign, huge discounts, huge network expansion through pure money power. That's a model that Jio followed, now Birla Opus has followed, big corporates have done that. We entered in a very different way. We said that, okay, for the dealer, we said that we will make any color one price. So all 1808 shades of JSW paints will be available to the consumer at the same price. So the consumer suddenly has a huge saving when he uses JSW paints versus any other paint brand.
So the other paint companies don't do that.
Nobody does that. Only JSW does that. So two things. One, consumer saves money. Second, for the dealer, it becomes a lot simpler to deal with this because there's no software needed to arrive at the price and it's completely transparent. That's one. Second, we said that for the painter, for the same finish, if you use competitors' product, you need 3 coats of paint. We developed a paint which has the primer and the paint and the emulsion in 1 coat. So in 2 coats, you get the same finish as you would get in 3 coats. So A, it saves paint for the painter, and B, it saves time. So again, they're able to do more projects in a shorter period of time, so they make more money. Third, we did a square can again. Instead of a round can, we did a square can. Now, why did we do that? Because the roller doesn't fit inside a round can. So the painter has to remove the paint onto the lid and then roll it and then apply it. So there's wastage. We said, no, we'll just make a square can. So the roller goes in and he paints it and no wastage. So like this, we launched our product, and because of that, we got acceptance by the consumer, we got acceptance by the painter, we got acceptance by the dealer, and we've been able to grow our market share.
Wow.
So like that.
So, I want to come to paints in a bit, but before that, I want to finish the cement discussion as well. You were talking about the right to win, right?
Yeah.
So, in a market which has such well-entrenched and aggressive players like the Adanis, you have the Ultratechs, the India Cements of the world, you are a relatively small player now. I think 20 million tons per annum is your current capacity.
That's right.
Do you think you would have to make some inorganic acquisitions to sort of compete with some of these larger players? And what is the strategy? What's the right to win?
Yeah, so in cement, our synergy and our basic right to win is the fact that the waste products that come out of the steel making process, the waste products that come out of the thermal power making process are our raw material. So the blast furnace slag that comes out of JSW Steel's blast furnaces, the fly ash that comes out of all our JSW Energy thermal power plants, that's captive raw material that's available to us. So that gives us a huge leg up over our competition because our raw material cost is significantly lower than all of them because our cement plants are co-located within the steel or power plants. So there's no transportation cost of lugging the slag or lugging the fly ash around. So that's one big advantage we have. The second big advantage we have is that today we are a regional player. We have been primarily steel dependent. So in terms of our locations are wherever JSW Steel is.
Correct.
So JSW Steel is in Dolvi, we are in Dolvi. JSW Steel is in Vijayanagar, so we have Vijayanagar and Nandyal. JSW Steel is in Jharsuguda, we are in Jharsuguda and Shiva Cement. JSW Jindal Stainless is in Jajpur, we are in Jajpur. So we are fully...
You're leveraging on that network.
We're leveraging on that network. And over the last, call it 10 to 12 years, we have now fully understood the cement market. We've gained decent market share. And now we're going pan-India. So our first facility in North India is coming up in Rajasthan. And then we have acquired mines in Central India as well, which will come up. So our strategy is really to become a pan-India cement player. And as of now, because we have a very small relative to the names you took, we have a smaller balance sheet. So we are not able to compete on inorganic acquisitions. So we were in the fray for Orient Cement, we were in the fray for Penna Cement, we were in the fray for Sanghi Cement, we were obviously in the fray for Wholesome when it was happening. But at our size and scale, organic is way cheaper than inorganic because organic has these large players who are cash rich. So whether it's Ultratech, whether it's Adani Group, whether it's Dalmias, whether it's Shree, they're all sitting on cash and they have the ability to flex if they want something. So we've decided that for now, let's leverage the JSW brand. Let's also leverage the JSW Steel's network because today TMT rods and cement are always sold together. So whenever we enter a new market, that's our first port of call. Their distribution is exactly what we latch on to first, and that allows us an easier access into the trade market. So at least for the next 3 to 5 years, our plan is to just grow organically, be very focused on doubling the capacity from 20 million to 40 million, become pan India, enter North India, enter Central India, and then at 40 million we should have some heft and might. Plus we'll be public, so we'll have liquidity as well to challenge some of the bigger boys.
So 20 million to 40 million is the target in the next 5 years?
No, I mean that sooner than that, but outer limit would be 5. But there's a clear organic roadmap to go from 20 million to 60 million tons.
I know that, yeah. You said that before.
Yeah, so that's clear. Now, the timing will depend on our performance and our overall leverage. But we would like to do it sooner than, hopefully within 3 to 4 years.
And do you have any revenue targets? I mean, you're sitting on around 6,000 crores right now. From 6,000 crores, what kind of scale up do you think you can see, say, over the next couple of years?
I think we've been growing very aggressively at more than 20% CAGR over the last decade. So we would like to maintain that. And it gets a little harder now at this size, but I think we would like to at least be a 10,000 crore company within the next 2 years.
Okay. I'm just preparing you for the, once you go IPO, then you're going to be getting asked these questions every quarter.
Correct.
Kind of get used to that. But no, jokes apart. So, the reason I'm asking is because India is also in this space where, and day and age where there's so much aggressive growth happening in infrastructure, right? Especially urbanization. There's mass urbanization happening everywhere. Just look at states like, say, Hyderabad, for example. Do you think that this kind of 20% growth is something that you can maintain? Not just you, the industry growth, because cement has been through its rough patches in the last 1 to 2 years. Why do you think that is? And what kind of growth can the industry see over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think last year was a very big aberration. I think cement industry went through a very tough time. All India growth was only at about 1% for the whole year. And that's never been seen before. Over the last 2.5, 3 decades, this has never happened. And there were a multitude of reasons. I think there was the general election, so that took up a lot of time and a lot of bandwidth. And since government infrastructure spending has been a huge driver for cement growth, that slowed down for the first 6 months of the year last year, and it only really picked up from November, December of FY25. So that's one. Second is there were a lot of state elections. So you had Karnataka, you had Bihar, you had Andhra Pradesh, you had Bengal. There were a lot of, you had Odisha, you had a lot of state elections, and there was a lot of change that happened. And that again took time for the new state governments and the new machinery to start working. Third is there's been, like you said, hyper aggressive competition. And you had a large entrant into the cement industry in 2023 with the Adani's entering with the acquisition of Ambuja and ACC, and there's been consolidation that's happened. I think last year was the maximum consolidation that has ever happened in the cement industry, with India Cements going to Ultratech, Penna, Sanghi, and Orient going to the Adani's, and then the fight for JP, which is still going on. So I think the larger players, in my view, as a strategy, wanted cement prices to be benign in order to force the marginal players to sell out. So it was I would say a strategy deployed by 1 and 2 to push out, elbow out the medium to small guys, and force them to sell. And that's what happened. And you saw these transactions happening.
Do you fear that something like that could happen with the other players as well, like yourselves? I'm asking because, a lot of markets eventually end up becoming 1 or 2 players take it all.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in large industries.
Right.
Do you think with a company like yours, which is still quite small, will it be hard, like once again going back to the question, will it be hard to compete with these giants without any major inorganic acquisitions or major cash flex?
No, I don't think so, because I think if your fundamentals are strong, if you have modern plants, you have very good control on your raw material cost, and your cost of production is comparable or lower than these bigger players. Because unlike other industries which are purely scale dependent, cement is, you can be a regional champion. Because today I have a cement plant, let's say in Andhra Pradesh, in Kurnool district. Right next to me, there's an Ultratech cement plant. Now, what gives Ultratech the right to be better than me in that same plant? Nothing. Yeah. If I have a modern plant, they have a modern plant.
Maybe the brand.
So they'll get a brand premium. Definitely, they'll get a 10 to 15 rupee a bag premium, 3 to 5% premium over me in the marketplace. And they'll get another 2 to 3% benefit because of scale. So their overheads would be lower, their fixed costs would be lower, etc. Other than these two things, in terms of the plant, in terms of the distribution, in terms of the logistics cost, in terms of the access to the channel, access to the customer, it's all the same. So in that same location, now if I'm able to scale up my operations and become a regional champion, like today, who are the regional champions? Wonder Cement is a regional champion of North India. JK Cement is a regional champion of North and Central India. Dalmia is a regional champion of East. You have Nuvoco, which is a regional champion again of East, right? These guys have got enough market share in the East to have a lower cost structure than Ultratech in that region.
Correct.
So there is nothing anyone can do to displace them. Sure, you can offer them a huge amount of money to buy them. But at the end of the day, why would they sell when they have good market share and good profitability? So today, like the names I took, Wonder and JK, on a per ton basis, probably make as much or more than Ultratech in the same geography. So it is possible. Ramco is another example of a Southern India champion.
Very strong.
Very strong South. So cement, unlike other industries, you can thrive and survive as a regional player.
But that's not your goal, to survive as a, to grow in any region. You want to be present pan-India.
I want to be present pan-India purely because of what I saw last year.
Correct.
And what I saw last year was, in order to push out the competition, they drove profitability down in South region. For example, last year was the lowest price Southern India has ever seen. I mean, the last time they saw this was, I think, 2001 or 2002. And my profitability in the South got severely impacted because of the low prices that were there. It didn't make that much of a difference to Ultratech or to Adani's or to Shri, because they have huge presence in other geographies in India. So they use North, Central, West profitability to squeeze out players in the South. This is my belief. So tomorrow, if I'm playing by the same rules that they're playing and I'm present everywhere, if they take a strategy to fight in one particular zone, even I'll have 4 other zones making enough EBITDA that even I can fight in that zone. Whereas last year, because I have almost 50% of my sales in South India, I wasn't able to fight back and I lost market share and I lost profitability.
Correct.
Both. So the sooner I can enter North and the sooner I can enter Central, I'm safeguarding my business from these vagaries, these strategies of the larger players, who we hope one day to become, but right now we're not there.
No, of course you'll become. With this kind of a strategy, I mean, you'll only grow. It's kind of like a David versus Goliath situation right now in some of the industries, right? But you, of course, have the brand backing as well. Talking about paints is also a space that has been growing very fast. But to once again have very well-entrenched players in this space who have been market leaders for 30, 40 years now. What is the strategy in terms of penetration there?
I think in paint, you know, when I looked at the business in 2016 and when I studied the industry, what was fascinating was that there was only really 2 Indian family-owned businesses, which was Asian Paints and Berger Paints. Everything else was multinational, whether it's your Kansai Nerolac, your Akzo Nobel, Nippon Paint, you know, these were the big, are the big players. PPG, Jotun, all these multinationals were there. So it screamed out that why are in other Indian promoter families, large groups, not getting into this industry, where the market leader is gaining share every year and is at that time was commanding more than 60% of the market, which today has dropped to 50, and I'm sure will further drop, but is still 50% of the, and that time 60%. And what dawned on me was that the paint companies in India trade like tech companies, 100 times PE. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
From business school, we were like, I mean, we have to go there because it was unbelievable. And second, there was not enough innovation, not enough R&D, and not enough new products coming into the market. So we felt that this was a perfect industry to look at in order to enter. And then when I looked at it from a JSW lens, you need steel to build a house, you need cement to build a house, and we were in both of them, and you need to paint the house. So we were like, okay, this makes sense in terms of, can we own the space of building materials in the mind of an Indian consumer? So if an Indian consumer thinks house, thinks home, can they think of JSW? And that's how we put it together and entered paint. And we obviously entered with two parts of paint. One is your decorative paints, which goes into your individual homes and real estate, etc. And the second was the industrial coatings, which again was a sector which was even further, which had no Indian players at all multinationals only. Asian PPG, Berger Becker, Akzo Nobel, Kansai, all of them. And we were like, if India is to industrialize, which it is doing, if India needs to grow and GDP needs to go from, at that time it was 2.5 trillion to 5 trillion and then 10 trillion, India will need to industrialize. And if India needs to industrialize, industrial coatings will do extremely well. So we said, okay, let's get into decorative to challenge Asian Paints and Bergers of the world, and let's get into industrial as well, because that's where our strength is. Because steel needs the maximum coating, and we are the largest in steel. So all our customers who are buying our steel, we can start talking to them to buy our coatings. And that's how the journey began in 2019. And it's been a great journey. We've been growing at almost 4x or 5x of the industry growth.
What's the market share now in paints?
So pre-Akzo, we had about 4%, 3.5 to 4% market share in decorative, and about 4% in industrial coatings as well. And then we got this big opportunity to acquire Dulux, which was, they had a strategic review, partially maybe 10% because of our entry into paints, but 90% because of Birla's entry into paints. I think they were like, let the Indian groups now fight it out. Let us exit, because their business has, while doing well, their decorative business has been kind of flat, whereas their coatings business has been doing incredibly well in India. So they did a strategic review and looked to exit, and we felt that it was a really great fit for us. And then we've obviously we have the winning bid, and we're waiting for CCI approval now, and hopefully that comes soon.
But Birla's entry into the paints business really shook up the entire industry, right? That was like working at a very different structure model for like 40 years, and then suddenly here comes a player and shakes it up entirely. Absolutely. How have the dynamics changed, and has it gotten much tougher?
See, I think what Birla has done is that they have expressed and shown incredible intent with the kind of investment that they have made and with the kind of noise that they have made in the marketplace. Plus, they have really leveraged the power of Aditya Birla Group and their network in order to enter the paint industry. They have used the power of Ultratech Cement, they've used the power of Birla White Putty, and the Birla name in general to get the word out there that, we are here and we are big and we are going to fight this 100-pound gorilla that has been dominating the industry, and join us. So when they launched, I was extremely excited, nervous, both that, what are they going to do? How are they going to disrupt the market? But of late, what we're seeing is that these same questions that I answered initially, that what is their right to win?
Why would I, if I was painting my house every year with Asian Paints, why would I move to a Birla or even a JSW Paints for that matter?
So our answer is simple. You'll get any color at one price. You'll have a saving.
And you have square jars
yeah, so
now.
no, as a consumer, you will get
Yeah.
any color one price. So
Yeah,
you'll
okay.
have a 10 to 15% saving on your paint when you use JSW Paints versus any other paint brand, including Asian, Birla, anybody. So that answer is clear. But why would you buy Birla over Asian? Somebody needs to answer that question. Which today there's no answer that I can give you as to why you should switch to Birla over.
But there was a
Asian.
phase when they were incentivizing dealers a lot, and every dealership you went to. So for a consumer, right? I mean, if Asian Paints is not available, if Birla is at a cheaper price, we'll just pick it up. There's no real brand loyalty in the paints industry.
Correct.
So if dealers are getting incentivized, and in all dealerships you just see, in all shops you see Birla Opus, you'll pick that up, and that's what happened in the middle.
Yeah. So again, so what I was saying, so with Asian Paints, now when we did our research and our study as to how are we going to attract Asian Paints dealers to us, one of the key things that the Asian Paints network told us was that there is hyper competition within Asian Paints network itself. So let's say I'm on Mohammad Ali Road in Mumbai. There are like 10 Asian Paints shops on the same street, and each fighting with each other to get you into their shop. So you go to let's say Parth Enterprises, he offers you paint at 300 rupees a liter. You go to Sonia Enterprises and they offer the same paint at 295 rupees a liter. And there's huge infighting going on between Parth Enterprises and Sonia Enterprises selling Asian paints. Because they want you to come and buy from them so that you buy the ancillary products around that where they make their margin. They don't make any margin on Asian paint sales, or very low margin. So they'll make margin on the sanitary ware, they'll make margin if you buy some wallpaper.
Other home building products.
Other home building. The roller, they'll make money, but they won't make any money selling paint. So our strategy to them was that, listen, we will give you, if you join us, Mr. Asian Paints Retailer, we will give you an exclusive territory. So within 500 meters or a kilometer radius,
it's all yours.
We will not appoint another partner until and unless you stop growing. If you continue to meet your targets, let's say first year your target is 10 lakh rupees, next year your target is 30 lakh rupees, and the following year your target is 60 lakh rupees. If you continue to meet your targets, there will be no, Parth Enterprises will not appoint, Parth Enterprise will be exclusive JSW Paints retailer in that market.
Okay.
500 meters in a big town, 1 kilometer in an upcountry town, like that. And that has worked. That has really worked. The retailer is like our biggest brand ambassador. He's like a mini CEO in that geography. And he's pushing, he's telling us, ye karte hain sir, wo karte hain, ye karte hain, all that.
Because now he has ownership of that entire area. Correct.
Now, that's a limiting strategy also, because there's only that much he'll be able to grow. Yeah. But we feel that that's the right strategy for us. Birla has done the same as Asian. Now they also have on the same street, whoever wants to join them, they will give the dealership to. So the same infighting is going to start there also. It may not be there today because there's so much incentive and all being given by the company. But today the company is being driven by market share alone. They're not driven by profit. The minute they start being driven by profit, they'll also have problems. They'll also cut the incentives.
Correct.
Then again, you and I will start fighting for the same customer, because you and I are both Asian dealers also. Now we're both Birla dealers also.
Correct.
So the same disgruntlement will start there also. That's my belief. Now,
but in terms of market share, is this strategy of yours helpful?
For us, it's a slow growth. It's not like in 1 year, Birla has grown bigger than JSW Paints standalone. And if they achieve their targets this year, then JSW plus Dulux would be slightly bigger than that, right? In decorative. So in terms of market share, their strategy is, I would say, arguably, it's a more expensive strategy, but it definitely is yielding results for them. But we believe our strategy is a more sustainable strategy, and we will continue to chip away at market share, continue to grow, and build a solid, profitable business by doing this, without one day saying that now I need to make profit, so I'll cut all the incentives. We won't need to do any of that. So it's a more linear growth strategy that we have. versus a disruptive growth strategy which they have.
Wow, it's interesting. I mean, a lot of the strategies that you use are very unique to the industry, right? Something that I don't think has been implemented before, whether it's in cement, whether it's in paints. I want to talk about that. But before that, in terms of the IPO, you,
Yeah.
of course, are taking your first baby IPO,
Yeah.
JSW Cement. But what's the IPO pipeline looking like over the next, say, 5 to 10 years? How many JSW group companies will be listed, fresh listings?
So we had JSW Infrastructure, which listed 2 years ago in 2020, October 23. Now, within 2 years, we'll have JSW Cement listing by next week. Then the next one that will probably, I wanted to take Paints IPO, but now I don't need to, because if we get AXO, it's listed.
Yeah.
So
listed,
we'll probably at some stage reverse merge into that vehicle. JSW1 would be the next IPO that comes in, which is our B2B e-commerce platform, which is doing extremely well. So that probably will happen either in calendar year 26 or 27. And then JSW MG Motors will be
the more exciting part of the.
So that'll be definitely on the horizon. We want to probably do that in either calendar year 27 or 28. So JSW1, JSW MG Motors. At some stage, we'll have JSW Motors also going public, which is the JSW car, which and the JSW truck and bus project, which will go public. So 3 is what I can immediately think of.
And how many of those are you going to be spearheading? There's, of course, JSW Paints, JSW Cement, and MG Motors.
Yes. These would be the 3.
The ones that you look at.
I'm very involved in JSW1 also. I am the chairman of JSW1 at the moment. So probably these 4, but again, that sounds like a lot. So we'll have to see.
I was wondering, do you have the same 24 hours in the day that I have? Because I don't know how you're handling so many businesses simultaneously.
No, I think we'll have to see. I think the journey of going from private to public is really where there's a lot of work, and maybe the answer would be that you build very strong teams, which we have done in each of our businesses, and then they are capable enough to take it forward. While obviously Dad's there, I'm there, we're all there. But similar, like how infra now, our involvement as a family is less. Similarly, in energy, our involvement is less, but the management is very strong, and we are sitting on the board. So probably structure like that.
And professionalizing the companies to a large extent.
Absolutely.
In terms of autos, MG Motors, very exciting, the launches, etc. But in the EV space, you have what? You have Comet, you have ZS EV right now.
And the Windsor.
And the Windsor, yes. Yeah. But EVs as a sector has not done very well, maybe because of the range anxiety, because of, sustainability issues or whatever. Globally, it's not done well. In India, it's struggling a bit. Hybrids are doing better. How are you looking at that entire space, and what's the launch pipeline with MG Motors?
No, I think I personally am of the view that EVs are doing extremely well in India. And what plagued the industry over the last few years was a lack of launches. And as a customer, you and I didn't have enough choice as to what car we should buy. We had a few Tata products, we had a few MG products, and that's it. You didn't have quality products available. Now with the new launches of MG, with the new launches of Mahindra, with the new launches of Tata, Hyundai, and the upcoming launches of all these brands plus Maruti, EV penetration is growing. So, last year, India had an EV penetration of only about 2%. So 4 million cars got sold, 3 million cars were sold in India, and the EV market was about 110,000. So about 2.2% was the penetration. Happy to say that in the month of July, EV penetration in India was 5.5%. Wow. So, for the month of July, 20,000 EVs got sold. So, if you just look at that number, this year we're expecting the EV industry to more than double. So, 110,000 cars of last year, we expect it to be somewhere between 220 to 230,000. With Tatas and MG being 1 and 2, and hopefully we're trying for MG to be bigger than Tata, but let's see. And Mahindra being 3rd. with their new launches. So I think if we are able to provide affordable EVs into the Indian market with a range of anywhere between 400 and 500 kilometers, actual range, at a price point between 10 lakhs and 18 lakhs, if you're in that sweet spot of the market, you will see EV penetration significantly go up. Today, charging infrastructure is improving. And frankly, if you own a car in the city, there is absolutely no reason why you should be owning anything but an EV. Obviously, if you're a one-car household, that journey is still not there. EVs are not in your mind at the moment because your car should be able to do everything. And it should be able to go on a weekend trip. It should be able to do city commute. It should be able to do everything. But in a two-car household or a three-car household, 100% there's no reason why you should not, your second or your third car or both should not be EVs. Because in any city in India, you're not traveling, nobody can travel more than 60 to 70 kilometers or max 100 kilometers in a day. Plus, EVs are in the national interest, because why should we be hearing from President Trump about buying oil from anywhere, right? We should be buying no oil if we can. We should be using our own electricity, which we have enough of. We have enough of sun, we have enough of wind, we have enough of hydro, we have enough of coal, which is a bad word, but we have enough of coal. So why should we be importing oil? So EVs are in the national interest, and charging infra is much better. Plus, it makes the most amount of sense also for fleets. So intercity fleets, taxis, bus, everything should actually become EVs. So it's happening, and what's really exciting is that everybody's pushing each other. Today, Tatas are pushing us to do more. We are pushing Mahindras to do more. Mahindras are pushing Maruti to do more, and that's the way the industry will grow. And I'm very excited, and I'm very confident that EV penetration in India from 5.5% in July will easily cross 10% and come very close to the 30% mark by 2030.
By 2030, okay. I wonder though why it has taken so long, right, to go from 2 to 5%. And when you say second car and third car, of course, you're talking about a really small percentage of India, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all of us live in that 1% bubble, but there's like 99% of India that can't even afford a bike, or even can't afford a vehicle, forget a bike. So how long do you think it would take for EVs to get to the mass market? Like you said, the sweet spot is to crack an affordable EV, which a lot of brands are trying to do, but haven't really got there just yet. So how long do you think that would take?
I think I can just point to the Windsor, right? We launched the Windsor with our BAS offering, battery as a service offering, at 9.99 lakhs. And it has absolutely captured the imagination of India. It is today the fastest selling EV in India for the last 9 months in a row. And this year, we are expected to do more than 60,000 car sales of the Windsor for the whole year. Now, at 60,000 for a single model, it would be in the top 10 cars of India, including ICE and EVs. It would be the number one EV, but it would be in the top 10 cars of India as a single model sale. So that just shows that there is a huge potential for the EV market, and people are aware of the benefits of using EV because there's no cost of ownership. You don't pay for fuel, you don't pay for oil changes, you don't pay anything for maintenance. It's very, very low maintenance. So the lifetime value of owning an EV is significantly lower than the lifetime value of owning an ICE. I mean, if you see, if an average Indian would drive maybe 10,000 kilometers a year, 10,000 kilometers in any car today with diesel and petrol at almost 100 rupees a liter or 90 rupees depending on petrol or diesel. And even if you get great mileage of Maruti and Toyota and the likes of 20 kilometers a liter, you're still talking about paying 5 rupees per kilometer per liter. 5 rupees per kilometer when you drive. So if you drive 10,000 kilometers, you're spending 50,000 rupees just on fuel. And then you have your oil change, this change, that change, you spend another 25,000 rupees on that. So you're spending 75,000 rupees a year on your car. Versus in EV, if you drive 10,000 kilometers on an EV, it's 1 rupee per kilometer, the electricity. So that's just 10,000 and there's no oil change. So you
Correct.
have a 60 to 65,000 rupees a year saving by using an EV. So people are now aware of this and slowly equating a 13 lakh rupee EV to a 10 lakh rupee engine car.
I see.
Because that's the gap.
Correct.
The extra you'll pay on your EMI will be the saving on fuel. So that's how to equate it. And that's why we are seeing a huge uptick in EV penetration and a huge uptick in adoption. Now, for us at MG, we want to bring in more products at this price point. We want to bring in a sub 10 lakh rupee car. We want to bring in a sub 15 lakh rupee car and a sub 20 lakh rupee car.
Is that viable for you on the profitability front?
At the beginning, when you have low localization, it's not viable.
Correct.
But we are now localizing. So when we launched the Windsor had only 23% local content and 77% was imported. By the end of this calendar year, we'll be 70% local and only 30% would be imported. And we have a clear roadmap that everything other than the cell, which is needed to make the battery, will be made in India. At 70% local, it's a very profitable product for the company. At 23%, it wasn't. So the only way to conquer India is to localize.
Correct.
And India has an unbelievable auto component industry who is exporting to the world. So we need to tap into that and localize. And that's where JSW comes in, because that's what we like to do, which is manufacture in India. But I'm very excited about the EV space. The other products that we are bringing in order to cater to this first car syndrome, or the first car should be
an
EV, is plug-in hybrid, which is there'll be a small engine and a larger battery pack. So you, in the event you have any range anxiety, you switch on the engine and go.
Correct.
But for
you have a couple of these plug-in hybrids now in the market, right? Toyota and Maruti.
No. Toyota and Maruti are hybrids, strong hybrids.
They're strong hybrids. Correct.
No plug-in.
Correct.
There are at the higher end plug-in hybrids, like BMW has a couple, Volvo has a couple, but those are like above 60 lakh rupees. That's not viable. I mean, that you'll get some volume, but that's not the market we're looking for. In China, if you look at the new energy vehicle segment, which is now crossed 55% of sales in China, that's a combination of EVs, which they call BEVs, battery electric vehicles, and PHEVs, which is your plug-in hybrids. Now, at a plug-in hybrid, you get about 80 kilometers a liter of range versus a strong hybrid of Toyota Maruti, which is like 26, 27.
Correct.
So that would be a good intermediate technology.
Before people make that complete shift. Okay. Wow. We've actually gone on for a goodish bit on all your businesses. And what stands out to me, Parth, is that, I've, of course, over the years, I've interviewed your father as well. I've spoken to him several times. You're very, very different in terms of your outlook, your approach, your the businesses that you pick. I mean, it's not every day that one would choose, a loss-making business and take up that sort of huge task of turning it around. Just a couple of questions before we end this.
Sure.
In your learnings over the last many years, right, what is it that you've learned from your family or your legacy or your father? Something that you perhaps want to take forward? Because your journey is very different.
No, absolutely. I think it started, if I look back at my family and the legacy that I come from, I think two things stand out. One is the ability to dream big and the ability to take bold decisions and put everything on the line. I think that's something that my grandfather did. That's something that my father has also done. And I have seen him put everything on the line for the conviction that he has in India and the sheer optimism he has about India. And that's something I truly want to take forward. And I truly want to remain extremely bullish on the Indian growth story and the capabilities and what this country is going to become. The other is, he always, what I've seen from my dad is to lead from the front. I think I've seen in so many cases in a tough situation where other people probably would have sent their team to handle it or sent the CEO to handle it. He goes himself and he says, I'm coming there right now, and the site will tell him, sir, labor unrest हो जाएगा जी, ये हो जाएगा. He said, होने दो, मैं तो आऊँगा, मैं तो खड़ा रहूँगा, उनके साथ ही खड़ा रहूँगा, मैं उनसे बात करूँगा, अगर मैं नहीं होऊँगा तो कुछ नहीं होने वाला. And that courage and that conviction that he has is that I will go and sort it out. I will go and be in the firing line, and I will lead from the front, is something that is easier said than done. It's not so easy, but the way he does it and the way my grandfather did it, and the stories that we hear even about my Tao and my Chachas, that's very inspiring. That Haryanviness has to remain, and we have to do that. I also would like to do that. But yeah, I think it's think big, think bold, and be a bull on India.
Okay, well, on that note, thank you so much, first of all, for joining us on the Money Mindset. We wish you all the best with your IPOs. The cement IPO now, and in due course of time, the auto IPO, and of course, paints, etc. You've been doing very well over there. But I just want to leave with one thought, that you started off by saying that the reason why you picked some of these loss-making and businesses which are on the back burner is because you want to kind of send a message to everyone that, I'm not just my father's son, but I can do things on my own as well. And I hope you can take that message forward, because it's truly coming out in this interview as well. So thank you so much, and all the best for the cement IPO.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to speak to you.